So here in England, this weekend I think, there's going to be a lot of rain and a hell of a lot of wind as well. However, I've checked the forecast for kind of South Cumbria where I'm at now, and it's mostly just a lot of heavy rain. I think it's Storm Alex it's called, and not much wind. And that screamed one thing to me and one thing only: woodland photography. So here I am. This has took me probably about half an hour just to set up, mostly just because I'm trying to keep things dry, you know. I've took a leaf out of Simon Baxter's book and Nigel Dance's. There's definitely a pun in that somewhere as well, isn't there? A leaf. What a wally. Yeah, took a leaf out of their book and got an umbrella. £2.99 from Aldi, top drawer. I'll tell you what, it is helping me out so much, albeit it's making things take longer because I'm essentially working with only one hand. It's an absolute delight just to be able to keep things dry for the most part. So we're set up for the first shot. It's been hard, but again, mostly just because the rain is so heavy. So it's quite difficult, you know, trudging around with all my gear. Anytime I think there's a shot, I'm trying my best to get my camera out and not get it wet, just so I can try and frame it up in the viewfinder. But anyway, I think I've settled on something here, and what I've really been trying to do is actually hunt around for early autumnal colour, let's say. Some of these early yellows that you get. This particular woodland, for the most part, this is a fairly autumnal area, but for the most part it still feels like we're in late summer. You know, it's still quite green. But I have found a selection or an area here where it feels quite autumnal. You know, we've got these beautiful yellows in this particular tree, and I'm trying to include that in the middle of this scene really. We've got this oak tree as well on the right hand side. It's got all these twisted branches coming off it, and then we've got a fallen tree that's kind of exposing all of its roots, and I've got that underneath that little explosion of autumnal colour there, as you can see. It's a scene. It's definitely a scene, a woodland scene that really caught my eye, and that's what that's what made me want to get my camera out in the first place. So you can see I've got it really high here. It's as high as it can go really on this tripod, and that's just so I can angle down ever so slightly as to exclude as much of that sky as possible, because it's just distracting. You know, we've just got these kind of dots of highlights off there in the background, so I've got most of it out the way, and it looks good, it looks decent, it feels like a nice balanced scene. I really like the character of the oak tree and the fallen tree together. It almost creates this kind of right angle, which I like, because in a way that kind of frames that sort of autumnal area. I keep saying that sort of yellow area in the center of the frame. And again, I guess this is just woodland in general, isn't it? I can't really tell at the minute if I'm going to like this or not. I say this a lot, it feels quite messy, but I think that's been my job here for the last sort of 25-30 minutes, in trying to neaten it up, try and create something that feels a little bit more balanced and tidy when you look at it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I've managed to do that. So ISO 100, f9 and 1/1/6 of a second. And they're my final settings that I've got locked in here. I've focused kind of on this oak tree on the right hand side, and at f9 we should be nice and even all the way through. Yeah, the conditions are nice. I'm going to keep hunting around because everything's just saturated and the colours are beautiful. But what I'm going to continue looking for are little areas, little pockets of this woodland that are autumnal. So first shot of the day, as always, I hope you like it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Actually Mary Poppins here, what's going on? This rain's driving me mental. Right, I've got an idea for another shot. It's in its infancy at the minute, but I'm going to switch hands. But I want to talk you through what caught my eye in the first place, alright? Because I've just had my camera out a little bit. So I was walking along this path here, you can see behind me here, can you? You can see behind me, I'm on a sort of footpath, alright? And I was going in this direction, the opposite direction from the subject that I spotted, and I looked over my left shoulder and you could see, ooh, there, a beautiful tree with these sort of lime green coloured leaves. Absolutely gorgeous, almost sort of a yellow colour actually. Just glanced over the left shoulder and thought, oh, there could be a little bit of potential there. At this stage, obviously, you know, no idea about composition. Just something that caught my eye. But this is really important, you know, instead of just standing here and getting the camera out, I have literally moved my feet. I've come off the path and I've just tried to change the perspective, just to see how it looks. Again, I've never seen this before, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've come a bit further around here, and you can see there, the same tree over there somewhere, and it looked a little bit better. And then, kept moving the feet. I had a packet of crisps around here somewhere, they're pretty nice. Got about here, my Mary Poppins brolly's in the way. There we go, and from about this location, again, I haven't had the tripod out yet, but from about this location I thought this could be worth a shot. And now I'm going to get the tripod out and just try and create a composition, you know, fine tune it a little bit. I know if you look down here at all this bracken, it is absolutely beautiful. It's usually a sort of pale orange colour, like a rusty brown almost, but because there's been so much rain, it's saturated and it's almost like a sort of deep red. You see that there? So I think I'd like to have that in the base of the composition because it's underneath my tree. But who knows? So I'll get the tripod out now, a little bit of fine tuning to do, and I'll talk you through what is in the old noggin, as always. Oh, so I am wet, and so is the gear. But I'm taking this shot now, and it's one of them. I know it, yous all know it. You can never really tell, but it looks good on the back of the camera is what I'm trying to say. I've had to change how I'm shooting this because my 16 to 30, I've only got two lenses with me today. I've got 16 to 35 and the 55 to 200. The 16 to 35 has got some sort of like condensation going on from today. I think it'll be fine. It's unusable. It's just a complete blur, like pea soup as you look through the lens on the live view. But 55 to 200 is fine. So I'm basically taking a shot that I would take with my 16 to 35, but I'm having to adapt and take it on my 55 to 200, which means pano basically. So you can see I've got it in a portrait dimension here. And where's our tree out here? Where is it? Where is it? Is that it? There it is. There, that one. Right. Good, we found it. So the pano he's on the left hand side, sorry, the right hand side of the frame. And then I've just moved across from right to left. On the very far left hand side, we've got this kind of, I need to shout at this camera. I don't really know what to call it. Like a little gloomy section. And I just, even though there's not an obvious subject there on the left hand side, it feels nicely balanced. And I think it's because we've got this sort of dark, gloomy section on the left hand side. And we've got these, what is it? Right off in the distance, I don't even know if it's going to come up on screen. But it's these kind of two trees that are a kind of V shape. It just feels right. It feels like a nice left-right balance somehow. That tree is cracking, let me tell you that. And then we've got that bracken going across the bottom of the frame. Sorry, levelled out the tripod, really important with a pano. And then everything's in manual, focus included. I've focused on my tree and I'm shooting at f4.5 because I actually want the background to kind of blur off a little bit, you know, add a little bit of separation and really make that main tree pop, make him nice and sharp. f4.5, ISO 100, and every single shot is a 2-second exposure. Man, so it shows you how dark it is. So yeah, cross from right to left. Actually, admittedly, at this stage, I don't know if I'm going to use the panel. Just a straight shot in portrait dimension of my tree and the bracken at the bottom does look pretty cool. I'll decide in post-production. Right, I'll show you this one now, before all my gear breaks. Oh man, I am drenched. I'm going home. It is proper dark in this woodland now, honestly. It's crazy. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, much appreciated. Hope you enjoyed another wet woodland adventure. And yeah, if you want to book me for a one-to-one workshop, I'll put a link up in the corner here. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Out.